Morning everyone, it's me. Well, this is my first in a series of reviews I'm going to be doing on restaurants. I'm no expert, but I really like food and I think I've got a good taste for what's good and what's not good. So I'm going to centre it in the Ribble Valley to start with this tour of restaurants. Simply because I'm working there at the moment. It's a lovely place, lots of nice countryside. There seems to be some fantastic restaurants, and in the UK Gastro Pub of the Year competition, it actually had two in the top three. It had the first, the Parker's Arms, and the third was the Freemasons in Wizzle. So what a great place to start. So last night I went to the Parker's Arms in Newton Le Bowland. Absolutely fantastic. Right, I tell you, it was a bit of an epic journey to get there because my car's off the road. Well, it's more than off the road. I've scrapped it, so I'm on my motorbike again, and it's mid-February, and it's dark, and it's wet, and it's windy. It was a bit of a scary ride up there. But anyway, I got there. What a fantastic place! It was so welcoming. You walk through the door, there's a roaring coal fire going, and the chap behind the bar, he says a really nice warm hello. Asked if I was booked, and when I said I was booked, he said, "Oh, hello, Steve, come in." He's very familiar, but not familiar in a disrespectful way. It was like you're meeting a mate you've not met for ages. You know, it was so friendly. And he said, "Hi, Steve. Well, we've sat you over here." So they showed me to my seat. It was lovely. It's a pub. You know, there's no airs and graces. I sat on a bench with cushions on it. And the people next to me, I think it was a couple that took the mum out, and the dog. You know, you don't expect to see a dog in a really posh restaurant. It's not a posh restaurant, I've got to say. It's a pub. I don't think it's the sort of pub you'd go in for a pint, but it's just very, very rustic. You know, stone floors, log fires. So I sat down, made myself comfortable. He took my crash helmet away for me, put it somewhere safe. And then he brought me the menu. Now it's a set price. It's one price, and you have a choice. Well, it's not a set menu. You've got a very good choice. You can start with this snacks. Then there's bread, obviously homemade bread. You've got I think there's 4 or 5 different starters you could choose from, 4 or 5 different mains, and 4 or 5 different desserts. They featured a list of cocktails of the day. Unfortunately, with me being on my motorbike, I had to avoid the cocktails. I had to avoid the wine as well, which I was gutted about. But oh well. So he came across and talked me through the menu. And I placed my order. I went for the snacks, which on this occasion was oysters mignette, which were fantastic. 2 lovely, pristine oysters they were. And obviously the sauce is a sort of mint shallot vinegar. And it cuts through that brininess. Sometimes they're a bit briny, aren't the oysters? Well, these weren't. They were very sweet, but this vinegary, oniony drizzle was just sublime. So that set me up, kept me motivated till my starter arrived. And I went for another fish dish. I went for soused mackerel. It was soused mackerel with Yorkshire rhubarb, some dressed leaves, and some new potato, and it was delicious. The mackerel, it was so firm but tender. It was not quite melt. It didn't melt in your mouth because there was just a good texture there, but it was fantastic. And they weren't skimping on the portions anyway. A lot of these nice restaurants you go to, you know, there's not much on your plate, is there? Well, there is I was actually eating it. I was thinking, this is only my starter. And they served the starter with bread as well. This fantastic sourdough bread. So yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. So I've followed that with pork cutlets, which is not something I'd normally go for. A pork cutlet, it doesn't sound very exciting, but when you read this, it was locally bred Bowland bred outdoor reared pork cutlet, which had been 24-hour brined in cider, which basically means soaked in cider for 24 hours, served with a It was a buttered cider sauce, I mean, mouth-watering, and the rhubarb ketchup, some seasonal greens, and then you had a choice of creamy mash or fries. I went for the fries. A lot of people like mash, don't they? But I'm a big fries. They're odd. They should be simple, but they're very easy to get wrong. I had a meal last week. It was a lovely meal, but the fries were limp. It sort of put me off. These were fantastic last night. How can a fry taste so good and be done so well? Well, they did. It was fantastic. But anyway, the showstopper for me. Pork has got no right to even taste like that. It was it was like they'd give me this new kind of. They'd gone out and found a new animal, and its meat was just the flavours. It was incredible. I was stunned, and I don't think I've ever been stunned by a meal before, but I was. It was absolutely beautiful. And it was a fair sized cutlet. And they didn't skimp on the sauce either. You know, a lot of times, I keep saying it's not a posh restaurant, it's a pub. The food is as good as any posh restaurant. It's better because it's got all the flavours, but it's not got the silly little Michelin star portions. You know, it's a proper meal. But the sauce was enough sauce. I mean, when it came, the cutlet was on its own on the plate with, I wanted to mention the rhubarb ketchup. Oh, who thought of that? Anyway, yeah, so it was just a cutlet and with its sauce and a blob of ketchup on the plate. But I threw all my chips and my greens on the plate, and there was loads. It's like having a good portion of gravy. There was that much of it. You know, at the end, down to the last bite of my pork, there was still enough gravy to, get a chip on and a bit of pork, and blown away. If I sound like I'm going a bit doolally over it, I'm almost emotional. To change the menu every day, sometimes you change it twice a day. I might never have that pork again. Anyway, it was nice. And for dessert, I went for the cheese board, surprisingly, which was simple but good. There was a cheddar. There was I think it was a Leeds Blue, and a Baron Bigod, which if you've not tried, it's beautiful. It's like a brie. I think it's an unpasteurised. It's definitely a British cheese, and it is really nice. And it was served with half a dozen very small dainty crackers, which were nice. A small pot of chutney. A knob of butter, which I love buttering my crackers to put my cheese on. A lot of people don't, and a lot of people don't serve it with butter. So I normally ask for it, but I didn't have to. And a small bunch of black grapes, to help. So it was just great. It really was. The service, I say the chap who welcomed me and took me order was fantastic. He was he came and had a chat at the end, but he did it to everyone. I don't know how he found time to do what he was doing. But that was probably helped by the fact I think there was 2 waitresses. There may have been 3, but they look very similar. But they were delightful. They're only young, but just really attentive. You know, sometimes it's nice to be asked if you're enjoying your food, but then you don't want to be pestered about it. But with every course, as they wandered by, they caught your eye and just said, everything all right? How's your food for you? And they were pleasant. I mean, one thing I don't like about places is when you're trying to attract someone's attention and they're trying to avoid eye contact so they don't have to do anything. This is the opposite. They're just there and they're fantastic. And the lady who cooked the food came out a few times, and she was fantastic. And she looked over, and she's looked at everything all right, and you nod, and she grinned. She knows you're going to enjoy it. I mean, how can you not? As I say, it's a set price, which I've got to say seems too reasonable for what you're getting. I mean, there are a few supplements depending on what you order, like the cheese board, for instance, and the extra if you're having the oysters. And I think a couple of the dishes might have had a supplement as well. But for what you're getting in there, you'd expect. When I actually saw it on the website, it mentioned the price, and I actually thought that might be the lunchtime deal. Because sometimes you get more or less the same food in lunch and evening, don't you? But it goes up a bit at night. Well, it doesn't. It's great. I want to go back quite soon, but I've already booked my next little food adventure to the place that came third in the UK's best gastro pub. But if anything, I think the benchmark, I shouldn't have gone here first because it set the benchmark just that little bit high. I mean, it's no, you can easily see why it won the best in the UK. I think the only thing is you've got to think, how can anyone beat it? Well, there's different styles, there's different foods, there's different atmospheres. There's a lot, isn't there? But what a great place to start. So if you've not been, it's the Parker's Arms in Newton-le-Bowland, which is up through Clitheroe, through Waddington, keep going through a fog bank, and all of a sudden it's there like a beacon. And yeah, okay, well, as I say, that's the first of my POSH NOSH reviews. All right, I hope you've enjoyed it, and there's some photos of the food down there. All right, thank you, bye.